Are you ready for some seriously unlikely Super Bowl heroics? These players may not have been the stars, but they sure stole the show on the biggest stage in football. From unknown linebackers to backup quarterbacks, the Super Bowl can turn anyone into a hero. Welcome to the First and 10 Club. This is the top 5 most unlikely Super Bowl MVPs. Number 5. It's not every day that a guy who was hurt for most of the regular season and only caught 35 passes ends up being named Super Bowl MVP. But that's exactly what happened in the first of 2 meetings between the Patriots and Eagles in the big game. Deion Branch had a pretty mid performance in Super Bowl 39 with just 11 catches for 133 yards. But hey, I guess when you're playing against the Eagles' defense, any production is a win. Despite not exactly having stellar stats, he did have a clutch catch late in the game and was the first wide receiver to be named MVP since Jerry Rice in Super Bowl 23. Not too shabby for a guy who was the MVP of mediocrity. Number 4. It's puzzling why Dexter Jackson was chosen as MVP of Super Bowl 37 instead of Dwight Smith, since they both had 2 interceptions, but Smith capped off his picks with 2 tutties. It was a pretty mid-game overall as the Buccaneers' defense smothered Rich Gannon and the Raiders. Dexter was the first safety to win the award since Jake Scott in 1973. Right before the game, Jackson declared for free agency. After the big win at the Pirate Bowl, he backed out of a verbal agreement to join the Steelers. At the last minute, he decided to sign with the Cardinals instead. The Steelers went with Plan B and drafted some nobody out of USC named Troy Polamalu. Dwight Smith, we feel your pain. The world may have overlooked your heroics, but we here at the First and 10 Club certainly did not. You, sir, are a true MVP in our hearts. Number 3. Who would have thought that a special teams player could win the Super Bowl MVP? But that's precisely what occurred in 1997 when Desmond Howard took home the award for his performance in Super Bowl 31. Not only was Howard the first and only player to win the MVP based solely on his special teams performance, but his Patriot dream-shattering 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown ended up being the only one of his career. Very interesting to note, just 2 weeks prior in the NFC divisional playoff game against San Francisco, Desmond failed to come out of the locker room on time for the start of the third quarter. The Packers did not notice and had only 10 men on the field for the second half kickoff, with nobody in the returner position. This allowed the 49ers to run down the field and recover the kickoff, ultimately leading to a touchdown for them. Has to be one of the strangest plays in NFL history. Fast forward 2 weeks later, and Howard's game-changing 244 all-purpose yard performance solidified his place in Super Bowl history as one of the most unlikely MVPs of all time. Number 2. Up next is a linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks in 2014, Bruce Irvin. No, not him. No, not Bobby Wagner. No, not KJ Wright. We're talking about Malcolm Smith. He had a solid career, but was not considered one of the top players in the Legion of Boom. No one could have predicted that Malcolm Smith would be the one to steal the show in Super Bowl 37. He did just that, going off in one of the least entertaining Super Bowls ever, recording 9 tackles, a fumble recovery, and intercepting a pass that he returned for a touchdown. He also became the first defensive player to win the Super Bowl MVP since our guy Dwight Smith in 2002. Wait, I mean Dexter Jackson. Number 1. Nick Foles shocked the world when he was named the Super Bowl MVP in 2018. Foles was not even the Eagles starter for the majority of the season, but he stepped in after the team's starting quarterback Carson Wentz suffered a season-ending injury. Big, you know what, Nick, the unlikely hero. The man who was barely good enough to be the Eagles' second-string quarterback managed to win Super Bowl 52 against the Patriots, completing 28 of 43 passes for 373 yards and 3 touchdowns. He even caught a touchdown pass from Trey Burton during the Philly special, becoming the first player in NFL history to throw and catch a touchdown in the same Super Bowl. He was the man to bring the Eagles their first ever Super Bowl win and has already had a statue of him erected outside of Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. And there you have it, folks, the top 5 most unlikely Super Bowl MVPs, proving that anything can happen when the lights are brightest. Who knew that a backup quarterback, an unknown linebacker, or even a special teams player could take home the sought-after MVP award? Who do we miss? Let us know down below. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time.